Thank you for choosing to watch the Watchman News Headlines video. Our full episodes can now be seen over at Patreon with much more added content for just $2 a month. Link is in the description. If you cannot afford $2 a month, please consider using our Amazon affiliate link, purchasing from our Teespring store, or making a PayPal donation. All links are below. In order for us to grow, we have to make changes to enable it. Our time is valuable, and we have been one of the very few news sources actually dedicated to bringing you honest, hard-hitting, actionable news and information. Plus, for your $2 a month, you do not have to hear me blabber about these links. It's a win for us all.
Bullshit.
Thank you. Good morning, watchmen and watchwomen of YouTube. Welcome to our headlines video. Just want to one more time encourage you to join us over on Patreon. We had a talk this evening about nuclear Armageddon and how it's seemingly getting closer to that point. I got one other thing to say about coming over to Patreon and why. One of the reasons that I went over there is because I realized that there's value in truth. And we are one of a handful, a very small handful of news outlets that are interested in bringing you the truth without all the propaganda and the games and the BS. And I want to give you an example of that. I want to give you an example of a report that hadn't even technically happened yet, but it's scheduled to happen tomorrow. That's absolute propaganda. Now, I'm not going to give you the channel, but I will say it's a popular YouTube channel. It's a popular Patreon channel. And their report includes a story that somebody had sent in about something to do with unemployment. And the state California was mentioned, and supposedly, somebody had said that they are aware of a situation where a person had claimed that they were trying to get work done on some I don't want to say construction work, but in that direction. And anyway, the story goes as this. They were told that, they're having a really hard time keeping employees, and that one employee, as an example, came to work for a day, and then that was it. Didn't come back the next day, and the reason why was so that they could draw on the unemployment, including the extra unemployment benefits because of the COVID situation. Now, there's a couple of problems with that story, okay? It's, number one, propaganda, absolute propaganda. Now, this is going to be put out to thousands of people tomorrow. Thousands of people. This is why I'm over there, because truth has value, okay? I'll tell you what's wrong with that story. There's two things wrong with that story, okay? Number one, you don't get unemployment when you quit, all right? Let me repeat that. You don't get unemployment when you quit. And number two, you have to work somewhere for a certain length of time to be eligible for unemployment. You can't go to work for somewhere and work there a day and get fired, not quit. You can't work somewhere for a day and get fired and then go draw unemployment. It doesn't work like that, man. It does not work like that. So you remember that while we stay a small channel. Okay, this is why we're small. Because, read it on the screen there. We're truthful. We're bold. It's plain and simple, right? I have no problem calling people to the carpet. Not a problem at all calling people to the carpet. I also have no problem telling you the truth without all the propaganda. And unfortunately, it's not popular. But if you're somebody out there that you're looking for the truth without the propaganda, if you're somebody out there with the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and you see all this crap, this propaganda being spread by the popular ones, give us a shot. $2 a month. I'm serious. Consider it. There's a reason why, man. There's a reason why. I needed to separate the wheat and the tares. I needed to be able to go to a platform to where my time was going to be worth it. To where I knew that I was going to be talking to people that had the eyes to see and the ears to hear. So I welcome you over there. $2 a month. $2 a month. I guarantee you won't get no propaganda bullcrap like that. Anyway, let's do some headlines, shall we? All right. Starting out with headlines. I thought I had all scope. I missed one. There we go. Starting out with headlines from Friday. So, not a super big ton of headlines, but, as usual, being that we're covering a few days, there's a little more than usual. America is back. Biden talks tough on Russia and China and vows to reclaim moral leadership and defend democracy. By the way, this is all Friday's headlines for now. Pfizer withdraws application for COVID-19 vaccine emergency use in India after regulator requests more data. Canada's oil heartland wants to make U.S. pay for scrapped Keystone XL pipeline. Russian opposition figure Navalny back in court faces defamation charge after labeling World War II veteran a traitor. U.S. Senate overwhelmingly votes to make embassy in Jerusalem permanent. Sanders won among 3 nay votes. Hey, I'm telling you, different face, but really, there's no difference, right? Tesla proposes investment in Indonesia as car maker seeks reliable source of nickel. We got to have them speaking about reparations. Rapper Ice Cube set to meet with Biden as U.S. president vows racial equality. Washington carves out confrontational path with Moscow and fiery diplomatic exchange between Secretary of State Blinken and Foreign Minister Lavrov. Gas explosion in southern Germany leaves several injured. Police evacuate surrounding area amid fears of second blast. China partners with SWIFT to boost global use of yuan and cut reliance on U.S. dollar. Most Russians could be vaccinated against COVID-19 by summer, as Sputnik 5 creator reveals doses can be kept unfrozen for 2 months. U.S. sends warship past Chinese-controlled South China Sea islands in Biden administration first. New COVID-19 restrictions in France are inevitable, says leading doctor after blasting Macron for refusing third lockdown. Scientists discover new bacterium linked to fatal mystery chimp disease, which could jump to humans. Navalny allies decide to pause protest in Russia after momentum stalls amid smaller turnout last weekend and police crackdown. Beijing accuses Britain of double standards and political suppression after CGTN News Network banned by UK regulator. Was still on Friday, by the way. New Zealand allows refugees in again after year-long COVID-19 hiatus, but won't meet own quota of 1,500 per year. Chinese TikTok rival Kashu, and I'm not sure that it's pronounced that way, share price nearly triples in IPO debut. Sperm caught, this is absolutely insane, right? Who knew? Sperm caught poisoning competitors to reach the egg first. That is like insane. That is crazy. Mumbai's vaccination drive sees just 58 out of 8,000 expected frontline workers show up for jab as fear and rumors affect turnout. Scottish hospital put in lockdown after 2 women and 1 man die in a series of linked incidents. Let's see. Can big tech afford antitrust violations after new law comes into force? It's a story that RT's Boom Bust had looked into. Still on Friday, by the way. UK sets out new ambitious COVID vaccination plan to jab anyone 50 or older by May. UK regulator says COVID-19 jab benefits far outweigh any known side effects, with latest data confirming vaccine safety. That's all right. I'm safer without it. Bring your own pin. UK local elections to go ahead in May despite COVID-19. You mean they're going to do it in person? No. Petition against COVID-19 vaccine passports hits 37,000 signatures amid reports the UK government is hatching a travel scheme. Russian police search apartment of key Navalny ally Volkov's parents after he's charged with violating protest rules. And we've seen all kinds of craziness involving people being charged with things with these protests, even, COVID-19 regulation violations, right? It's insane. German authorities can't access $60 million of seized bitcoins after fraudster refuses to give them password or whatever. Still on Friday. EU's Moscow staff given permission to get Russian-made Sputnik V COVID-19 jab as bloc struggles to obtain vaccine supplies at home. EU envoy plays down prospect of sanctions over Navalny jailing and backs Russian COVID-19 jab in diplomatic visit to Moscow. U.S. employers add just 49,000 jobs, underscoring the virus's damage. What if Trump had said it? Joe Biden resurrects exaggerated claim that he was shot at during trips to Iraq. Why not? I mean, you've got AOC and, you've got David Hogue now wanting to start a pillow company. I mean, this is insane. Intruder gained access to base where Air Force One is kept a day before Biden's inaugural flight. Still on Friday. American troops in Germany serve our mutual interest, Berlin says, after Biden freezes planned withdrawal. UK government announces hotel quarantine for red list arrivals in effort to stem spread of COVID variants. Russia expels diplomats from Germany, Poland, and Sweden for alleged participation in pro-Navalny protests. Down the drain, COVID-19 lockdowns force British pubs to dump 87 million pints of beer. Oil climbs closer to $60 on growth. Let me restart that. Oil climbs closer on $60 on growth hopes and OPEC Plus supply cuts. UAE almost entirely cuts donations to UN's Palestinian Relief Agency after normalization with Israel. Alexei Navalny defamation case adjourned for a week, opposition figure being prosecuted for dubbing 95-year-old World War II veterans a traitor. Actors and lies, Beijing doubles down on thrashing BBC coverage of China amid CGTN ban row. Still on Friday. Call from Navalny allies for international pressure to get activist out of prison proves he's a foreign agent, says the Kremlin. Russia slams immoral claims from oligarchs over collapsed Yukos empire as final showdown around $50 billion legal case begins. UK announces new vaccine plan for mutant COVID strains with a further 50 million doses as France misses out on French jab. Sometimes these headlines read correctly, sometimes they don't. and most of the time they screw me up. Climate change is key in COVID-19 spreading to humans, says a study. See, told you. I try to read them correctly, even though sometimes they're shortened a little bit. I try to read them correctly, but yeah, that sometimes just didn't happen. China's Tianwen probe. I tried getting it right. China's Tianwen-1 probe beams back first photo of Mars during historic mission. AOC doubles down on Capitol riot story, says doubters are extremely damaging to fellow survivors of trauma. UN-led Libya Forum elects interim government of 4 leaders until a war-torn country goes to the polls in December. A new tool can churn out vaccine models in minutes and not months. It's an AI tool, and no thank you. I mean, I would be less concerned about this if they weren't so hell-bent on sticking us with stuff. That is what concerns me the most about all of this. AOC Light hashtag flooded with spam and puppies after PR team urges followers to help memory hole her Smollett moment. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And the fact that she's allowed to get away with this stuff makes it even that much more crazy. I mean, it's ridiculous. Think about how this would work out if others, like if people on the conservative side were to poll this. And I'm not trying to propagandize for the conservatives or anything like that. I'm just speaking truth. I'm speaking fact. If this was a conservative, they wouldn't have got nowhere near this far. And let me add another layer of it. If it was a conservative male, oh my goodness, they would be a devil for even bringing it up. Am I right? This has got to stop. This whole, that this gender or that whatever sexual preference or this religion or that nationality, whatever the case, it's got to stop. Y'all say you want equality, then knock it the hell off. If people want equality, then why are we saying, well, you got to hire this person before that person? Or you got to let this person in to whatever, college or whatever the case may be, before this person. That's not equality. That's bullshit. That's what that is. That's bullshit. I don't know. I can only speak for myself, but I'm tired of being on the losing end just because I'm a straight white male that believes in God. That puts me at the bottom of the totem pole. And I'm tired of it. I'm not racist. I'm not chauvinist. I'm just a human being trying to live, which is being made entirely hard by people that are opportunists and want to take advantage of every little bitty opportunity they get, right or wrong. And believe me, I think a lot of these people know that it's wrong, but they do it anyway because, to be honest, everybody's being squeezed so tight, you almost have to take any little bit that you can get just to get by. But we all need to stop. Man, this is orchestrated. And it's only allowed to happen because we allow it to happen. We've got to stop. If you are somebody that's, of a gender or of a sexual preference or of a color or anything of the sort, you need to stand up because you're being used. You're actually being used to bring us all down. You're not being raised up. Take a look around you. You're not being raised up. It's ridiculous. The only reason why she's getting away with this is her gender and her political party. That's it. And that's the truth of it. Like it or not, I don't give a damn. I will speak out about it. And I will keep speaking out about it. Because I'm tired of being a victim of the fake victims. Tired of it. WHO appeals to COVID-19 vaccine developers to share manufacturing sites for a massive scale-up of jab production. OAN runs giant disclaimer warning before airing My Pillow Guys documentary claiming to present 100% proof of election fraud. I'm not saying whether there is or there wasn't fraud. What I am saying is this guy is a nutcase that needs to go away. We should have known that years ago, right? But people want to hold on to symbolism and they just want to believe anything that they want to believe as long as it furthers their agenda. It's the only reason why this guy even has a platform, because idiots are just worried about furthering their agenda. That's it. Otherwise, this guy would have been laughed off stage a long time ago. Van Jones told black community doesn't trust him, branded Trump's racial cover as he refused to atone for bipartisan work. Now, what was I just talking about? Look at how many different things were thrown in here. His color, his political preference. See what I'm saying? That's what I mean. If you're a person of color, if you're a female, because it's sure in the hell not males that they're pandering to, if you're a female, if you're a person of color, if you have to mark the other box when it comes to sexual preference, okay? Whatever the case may be, and I'm not making fun, I'm telling you, you need to speak out and say stop. Stop using us. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Netanyahu blasts International Criminal Court for claiming jurisdiction over Palestinian territories. Still on Friday's news, by the way. Raab must tell what he knew that suspect in Harry Dunn car crash may be U.S. spy is astonishing revelation, a family lawyer says. I would agree. Reinventing the company town. This is a crazy headline. Nevada teases self-governing innovation zones for big tech business with own taxes and courts. Now, you want to talk about craziness. I was screaming crazy back when they allowed businesses to be, corporations to be treated as individuals. I was screaming at the top of my lungs when that was allowed. Now we've got this. This is crazy. HBO becomes seventh company to produce film on GameStop mania as Hollywood and Wall Street rush to cash in on Reddit rebellion. Stratcom chief claims nuclear war with Russia or China a real possibility, says U.S. can't assume strategic deterrence will hold. This was one of the things I was talking about over on Patreon. This is actually a very, very big headline. Hunter Biden's newly announced memoir is already #1 in Chinese biography on Amazon. Likely, I'm not saying it's not, but this is propaganda. It's a propaganda piece. But, I'm not saying that it's not the #1 Chinese biography right now. But, it was meant to incite emotions. Dumbed down, less balanced CNN, ousted Voice of America director airs trouble with U.S. propaganda service. You mean like all the mainstream media? Manufacturing consent, progressives vent over political puff piece claiming Biden charmed the left. I don't think so. You know what? I've said it before and I'll say it again. Those people that did vote for Biden, in most cases, weren't voting for Biden. And I firmly believe they weren't even necessarily voting against Trump. I think they were voting against Trump supporters. I think they had heard enough. I think the Trump supporters had more to do with Trump losing than they ever wanted to admit. They'll never admit it. But I guarantee you there's a lot of truth to that. Like it or not. Canceling their own. New York Times lead COVID-19 reporter resigns after reprimand for using use of the N-word and fails to appease coworkers. Oh, this was a humorous headline. FBI unwittingly includes a meme of a nude man in court filing against Capitol rioter. Yeah, it was the meme of the the naked guy in the picture in the back. I think you can see them. There's a nude guy on a bed on the picture, and the FBI used as evidence. All right, now we're to yesterday's news. Microsoft bans donations to Republicans who objected to Biden victory and shifts lobbying focus to promoting democracy. How about we promote constitutional republicness, right? I'll make it up. Why not? Why don't we promote that? Russia needs regulations for grain exports to control rising food prices, says Putin. Biden thinks Trump should be denied traditional intel briefings for former presidents. Western pundits believed post made in Ukraine would serve as an example for Russia. In reality, it's become a cautionary tale. Twitter baffled by report the UK government discussed relocating Prince Edward to Scotland in bid to save the Union. GameStop incredible rally may not have been boosted by gang of rebel Redditors alone, analysts say. 2 people reported missing and at least 5 injured after explosion partially demolishes building in Bordeaux, France. I believe I pronounced that close to right. $60 billion court battle. Russian deputy justice minister says Yukos oligarch seeking legal protection for illegal behavior. Hey, why not? Plenty of Americans do it. UK's Bojo reportedly plans to give Health Secretary more control by reversing 2012 NHS policies as coronavirus pandemic continues. Austria says no to politicizing Nord Stream 2 as Brussels and Washington call for sanctions over arrest of opposition figure. Still on Saturday's news, by the way. German farmers drive their tractors by Brandenburg Gate with a message, "Don't kill farms to save bugs." Facebook urges Myanmar to unblock access to social media as internet blackout reported after military coup. Yeah, because, Facebook wants in there. People don't go to the pub for lemonade. Angry Brits protest over alleged COVID plan to ban alcohol from pubs. You really think this is all over a virus at this point? It's really starting to look an awful lot like control. China's trade turnover with Central and Eastern Europe tops $100 billion despite pandemic hit 2020. Hang on a second. I got to get a sip of tea and a vape. I've already been talking for a little bit, so. All right. Now fire Hannity, Ingram, Carlson. Liberals call for bigger purge at Fox News as canceled Lou Dobbs shares tweets of support. Splintered SCOTUS gives California churches partial win. Rules state can't ban indoor services but can limit capacity over COVID. My first concern was, oh great, they're going to limit capacity to like one person. No, 25%. There is a limit put that like 25% of the normal capacity. So it's a win. Definitely a win. Martian landscape. Sahara sand covers alpine snow as early desert wind from Africa turns Europe orange. We're supposed to be getting more snow. We got some. Not a whole lot, but there's definitely more than a dusting. And we're supposed to be getting more, I believe. Rules do not apply to her. GOP accuses Pelosi of breaking metal detector rule, but not facing $5,000 fine like Republicans. And again, this is ridiculous. You have to ask yourself why. She is given privilege because of her gender. because her political preference. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop. And this is from the group of people that claim they want equality. No, they don't. They want control. They don't want equality. They want control. And the only way they can control is to have us fighting each other, ripping each other's throats out, and then they can have complete domination over us, which is real close to what they've got. Myanmar approves Russia's Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine despite post-coup crisis. Genie's out of the bottle. German FM pledges 21 million euros to help Belarusian opposition, the oppressed people, he says. NYPD launched probe into domestic terrorist cop wearing political patch amid calls for purges and cleansing of Trump's army. Now, y'all know my thoughts when it comes to the, I'll say the blue line. I won't say nothing like brown. Anyway, you all know my thoughts on it, right? But, you know, and there are further thoughts on this. You're not supposed to, if you work, you know, if you work for the government, you're not supposed to have that kind of stuff. That's like contraband. You're not supposed to have that on you. So I disagree that she had it on her for those reasons, because being a public servant, you're not supposed to be bias that way. But really, to use that as a reason to call him a domestic terrorist, no. There are plenty of other reasons to call them domestic terrorists, but it's not because they wear a patch. Sorry. And again, you've got, and both sides do this, the left and the right do this. They get to the level of absurdity that actually cancels out any argument that they would possibly have. And that's what's gone on here, right? I mean, listen to me. I'm sitting here partially trying to defend this woman, right, when I have absolutely no use for the profession and absolutely no use for the political party, right? But to be called a domestic terrorist because you support a political party, that's ignorance. Biden trusts intelligence community and will let them decide on Trump's access to briefings, says the White House. That was probably after Biden got told, you can't do that. Let's see. Euphemism for censorship. Twitter permanently bans Gateway Pundit founder Jim Hoft for violations of civic integrity policy. Okay, now we're to this morning's news. I'm going to have another sip of tea and another vape. We are on the home stretch. There wasn't a ton of headlines today, so. My battery's about dead. No wonder. All right. Global food prices soared a 6-year high, a UN agency says. It's about effectiveness and availability, not geopolitics. Austria's Kurz will take Sputnik V or Chinese vaccine if approved. China has just launched world's largest carbon market. Hundreds marched through Copenhagen to protest COVID-19 lockdown and plans for vaccination passports. Myanmar sees largest protest in over a decade as supporters of ousted civilian leadership demand generals reverse coup. Up to 150 feared dead and more stranded as glacier burst sparks massive flood in northern India. Turkey aims to be among world's 10 biggest economies as Erdogan lures major investments. That, shocked me. When I saw that headline this morning, I was like, wow, they've got that big of an economy? Let's see. Want Iran back to its nuclear deal commitments, lift all the sanctions, Ayatollah Khamenei tells the U.S. WHO official thanks Britain for taking risk with first dose first vaccination, calls on it to share its stockpile with needy. No mercy to pandemic hit states as ECB chief says canceling COVID debts unthinkable. You can't do that. Nah. It would be discriminatory. UK vaccine minister says government is not planning COVID vaccine passport. It's an article talking about in the pandemic, more people choose to die at home, talking about like people with terminal illnesses and stuff like that. A lot of them are choosing just to die at home instead of going to hospital or nursing home or something like that, because in most cases their loved ones couldn't go there to see them, so they just stay at home. And it's kind of a sad article, but a very telling article. It's a good read. Not good as in a positive read, but insightful. Not necessarily in a positive way. Biden puts U.S. in standoff with Iran. No lifting of sanctions until country stops enriching uranium. And this is one of the articles we covered too on Patreon. And I'm telling you, we need to be watching out for this stuff. Shoot his ass. Maryland driver goads deputy sheriff as he unloads a clip into stick-swinging assailant. And I watched this video. I've watched another video that was a longer version of this video. And I can see why the cop shot him. Now, the reaction of this driver of this vehicle is absolutely uncalled for. Absolutely uncalled for. And it was racist in nature, to be honest. Absolutely racist in nature. You'll have to, I'm not going to play it here. You'll have to watch it for yourself. You can go to our Twitter if you hadn't already seen this. It is graphic. I will warn you, it is very, very graphic. If you do go to our Twitter and pull the link from RT here, there'll be another link down inside of the article where you can see the longer version of this. And I don't know what this guy was on, but he was definitely on something. And yeah, there's a definite line you cross when you have to say, yeah, the officer's justified. And I'm not going to argue for a second that this officer was absolutely justified in his actions here. And you guys know that for me to say that means something. MyPillow's Mike Lindell says he could be suing Dominion and Smartmatic for the American people. This guy, again, needs to sit down. Richie Rich report on wealthy celebrities using government COVID-19 bailout sparks debate over fate of taxpayers' funds. Hey, I mean, we're seeing churches, we're seeing now celebrities. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is supposed to be for the people that are actually hurting. School faces backlash after allowing kids to opt out of Black History Month to exercise their civil rights. And there will be another headline regarding this. Trump critics cheer as poll claims majority of Americans want ex-president convicted and barred from holding public office. I believe firmly this is a propaganda piece. Not necessarily a propaganda piece from RT, but I believe the poll was absolute propaganda. Most polls are, by the way, are propaganda. And I don't, I think this is ridiculous that they keep trying to drive this home to garner support for the conviction of Trump that's not president anymore. It's ridiculous. A Republican senator sets off liberals by suggesting Trump impeachment trial a distraction from Pelosi. Oh, I think it's a distraction from a whole lot of things. Coup attempt foiled in Haiti, president says, amid term dispute between him and opposition. Yet another country. South Africa suspends AstraZeneca vaccine rollout after study shows its limited efficacy against local variant. No families are opting out. Utah school reverses decision to allow kids to skip Black History Month classes after backlash. See, I told you there'd be another headline. Here's the thing that blows my mind, right? There was an opportunity, at least here, to skip out on this, But what about this sex education that they're wanting to bring kindergartners? How come there's no opt-out for that? I know what I would be doing if it was my situation and within my control. I would be homeschooling real damn fast. Let's see. What just happened? Reddit blows entire marketing budget on 5-second Super Bowl ad with a nod to GameStop Thriller. I reckon. Anyway, those are the headlines. I am going to wrap up this Sunday episode because it's actually Monday for us technically. And I hope everybody has a good evening. Hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. Don't forget to join us on Patreon, where we don't tell you a bunch of propaganda news. And as always, shalom.